Let's make a snowflake ornament with the prancing pig. And this video is made to be paused, so feel free to pause periodically as you finish each step. All right, grab your snowflake sticker, and we are going to start pulling pieces out of this. Mom and Dad, you might need to help us a little bit with this. We are going to get this little piece. You see this little piece? It's easy to start with those corners, that interior corner you saw where I pulled. And we're going to pull these little strings. I want you to pull the string off, the string all the way around the snowflake. So you can see how you can kind of fold that corner back and pop that corner out and then peel that out. And then also peel out the center as well. And it should look like this. Now, we're going to pull that off and be very careful. This is where you can easily tear this sticker. So nice and easy. Gentle, one arm at a time. I want you to take each arm of the snowflake out and pull it out and hold on to it. Don't let it touch anything. We're going to center that on your ornament. And you can just push it down really well and just make sure that you've got it all mushed as far down as you can. Give it a good push on there, just like I'm doing, and you should be set. The first thing we're going to do is flip it over. We're going to paint the back, and it's looks like it's made in Thailand. We're going to take our blue paint and we are going to paint right on top. Now, you can lay this down on your paper plate if you'd like and use that as a turntable. I prefer to paint also because of the camera. I tend to hold the pieces up so that you can see better with the camera. But we're going to just go ahead and paint one nice layer all the way across. And you can see that I'm trying to do the corners. I'm also doing a flicking motion with the brush. That does a couple of things. It helps to kind of smooth things out a little bit. It also helps to dry and even out the paint a little bit. So I'll put it kind of heavy, and then I'll take it and kind of flick it across, as you can see here. And now we're going to do I did another coat on there. You can see where it's still a little splotchy. Now we're going to be making snowflakes. So if you want to leave it like that and have it kind of look like the sky background, you sure can. It'll just look kind of washy like an afternoon sky. Or you can go ahead and put another coat on. I'm gonna put one more coat on. But you certainly don't have to. You can do one nice coat or two nice thin coats. I'm going to put on 1/3 coat. Just make sure that you do it nice and thin so it dries quickly. And you want to make sure it's dry because we're going to flip it and we are going to put it on its back now. And we are going to paint the snowflake side up. And just make sure that all of that sticker is pushed down. You want to just double check and make sure all the edges are pushed down. I actually didn't do that when I did the video, and I just went ahead and painted right over that. And you're going to see some mistakes that come out because of that. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. It's a little leak. But, if you can, just make sure that all those little edges of that sticker, that vinyl sticker, are pushed down. And then we're going to go ahead and basically we're just going to paint right over this sticker. We don't want this super thick. We don't want it, you can see where it'll catch along the edges. So you're going to see how I put the paint on and then I do that flicking motion and kind of flick the paintbrush quickly back and forth, just like that. And that kind of spreads things out a little bit. That kind of dries things a little quicker. and it starts to soak into the bisque a little bit better when you brush that way. This is a good time to pause the video, wash brushes, and let that last coat dry. All right, we're gonna work on our snowflakes on the back. Your first step is to take your thin brush with a thin line. You wanna make an X and then a line through it. And then we're gonna add small lines in between each one of those. Just take it nice and slow. They don't need to be perfect or straight. And then we're going to start our next level of the snowflake. And we're just going to add these little V's to each one of those lines. You're just going to put a little V right on those lines above where you finished your first one. Do that again. We're going to do a final V over here. And then I'm just going to finish off those snowflakes with a little dot around the outside at the edge of each one. All right, let's go step by step again on a snowflake. We're going to do an X. So do your X as evenly as you can. And then we're going to do a line straight through the center of your X, cut right through the middle. So we're going to make 6 pie shapes. Now we're going to draw V's in between each one of those little arms. So you can see we're just going to stroke, one stroke down, one stroke up, back up to the arm. We're going to go back down towards the center and back up again. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around our snowflake. I'm going to extend that arm a little bit. I need a little bit more space there to work with to finish up the snowflake. All right, now we're going to take small thin lines and we're going to go straight across that little, where I just extended it and made it a little bit longer. That's why we're going to do little, we're just going to put little lines straight across the top of each one of your arms. And then we are going to, again, just add little dots to the end. This time I'm going to have them attached and just make a little ball and kind of finish off the edges of that snowflake a little bit. And, you know, feel free to change this up, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do what I'm doing, or you can take what I'm doing and kind of create your own thing. All right, again, basics. Start with the X. Nice solid X, try to be as even as you can, and then one line straight through the middle. All right. And then, of course, working out from that X. This one I'm just going to do little V's. We're going to make this kind of simple. We're just going to do little V's right off that arm all the way around. We're going to do another little bit smaller layer, little teeny tiny V's up across the top, all the way around. I try to keep using the same paint because then it doesn't get too thick. Sometimes I have to, and you can always discard and get rid of a little excess paint. And then we're just going to go off the top. We're not going to quite touch the snowflakes. We're going to go right off the top. This is a good point to pause the video, finish the snowflakes and let that all dry. All right, now we are going to peel off the sticker. So take your fingernail and just catch the very edge of one of those snowflakes if you can. And just peel inwards and try to just pull up a little bit. It should come off relatively easy. You just want to get a little tab and then pull. Now, if you're lucky, it's going to come. And you can see if you pull too hard, it's going to tear. If you pull lightly, you may be able to get it off all in one piece. If you just kind of pull hard at it, it is going to tear in little pieces like this. You can see those little bleeding spots what I talked about earlier, where if you don't push the sticker down tightly, it will bleed in a little bit. But it's honestly something you're not even going to see, and it gives a little dimension to your snowflakes anyway. So you can see this should come off relatively easy. You can't really hurt your paint at this point. You just want to make sure that this is all dry. If for some reason there's a little chunk of wet paint, just make sure that's dry, or take a paper towel and just dab it. And then place it in your plate. We're going to take your little cup of clear glaze, and you are going to take that same paintbrush that you've washed one more time. It probably is going to start to fall apart soon, so we are going to use it for one more shot. At this point, we're gonna just do a nice even coat across the top of your snowflake, and you can see where I'm just taking the glaze. If it's white, it is going to dry clear, but I do tend to kind of smooth it out, as you can see. Now that's just one coat. And then we're going to go over it again, let it dry. It's going to dry, and you want it to dry, so it's not tacky. And then I want you to go over it. Now, you can't just keep brushing over and over. You need to put a layer on, nice and thin, and move on. If you keep brushing, you can start to get the blue paint to pull back up again. You don't want to re-wet the paint. You want to just lay that gloss down and get it shiny. And you can see kind of inside the hole there where it's kind of clumping. That will dry clear, so don't worry about it. You can kind of go around the edges and do those. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we're gonna paint the other side again. But keep in mind that you're going to need to put these down for a minute or so, few minutes in between each coat, and just kind of let them dry. So when you do that, you can see here after the first coat, it's kind of matte. So we are going to go back over it again. So this is my second coat to really give it a nice gloss, and it's going to get super shimmery, super glittery. So that's it, the second coat. Like I said, you're going to want to dry it in between each one of these coats. And I will show you how I just kind of set mine up against, I have a bottle of paint sitting here, but anything, a little, a coffee mug on a plate, and you can just kind of lean it up against that coffee mug. It's not going to hurt it if a little bit of this stuff is kind of sticky and tacky against it. But you don't want to lay these down flat until they're fully dry. So I want to say that again. You don't want to lay these down on either one of their sides overnight. You can lean it up against something and let it dry. The other thing you can do, like I have here, you can see how I have leaned that up against this, and you just want to make sure that it's not too terribly wet. If it sticks a little bit, it'll easily come off of those little edges where it's touching. So you either want to dry it like this overnight, or you want to actually put it on your tree and tie it up and hang it up and let it dry that way overnight. That'll work too. That's it. We appreciate you painting with the Prancing Pig. We hope you had a great time. I'm sure your snowflakes are fantastic, and we hope you enjoy your holiday season.